what is your ultimate end goal with the ask. And as long as you can share passionately, or at least come across with good stories, that's usually a good way of starting the presentation or going through the presentation. So think of it as those are my little notes to you as your pep talk before you go into kind of doing a talk or presentation. And you can speak to your own experience. You can speak to, I mean, you talked a little bit about it in the next slides, but I wanted to hear that maybe from you to set my expectations of, and you could have done something like this. You'd be like, I've been wanting to be a PM and thankfully have the experience, or I wanted to be a PM because of these reasons. Luckily, I found a mentor, and I was curious if I was the only one who wanted to become a PM. Little did I know, there was this huge market of people. And then you go into the next slide where you say, this is something that a lot of people want. And it's because of the XYZ reasons. It's because they have this. And I realized there was an opportunity. No, why did you get into PM first? I think that's the core, because you are essentially, not everyone is in product fit yet. And I want you, because you wanted to go into product management, a lot of people can relate to wanting to be in product management. And yes, your story is unique in that you are now a part of Product Fit and you are essentially taking a different role. I wrote down, why did you want to be a PM? Talk about the numbers. Talk about basically how long did it take you to eventually get to this? How many hours? How many this and that? And that's also the part that really speaks to how big of a problem this is. That you've tried to be a PM for the last 6 years or something, but I'm sure there's a lot of other people who are in the same boat. There's people in our own mentorship group that they've been trying, and I know Beverly, she said that she's wanting to kind of jump in for the past year and or 2 years, I think. They were ugly and keyboard and all this stuff, and then here was Apple or the iPhone on this other side by itself, kind of saying, this is how it's different, this is how it stands out. And that's kind of what I was hoping, or that you can do, is you create a quadrant and you kind of say, on one side of the quadrant, there's two extremes. Because right now I do have, I mean, there's a sense of truth to this, and that, I mean, you, in a way, I've just kind of assigned you a product manager role, and that took, I mean, I don't know how long we have to look at it, but I kind of want that to happen where people go through a training, and then at the end of that training, they're like, okay, you're a product manager because you've been essentially gone through this exercise. I want you to now work on a product as a product manager. And I know this is going to come with experience, that you're just going to figure out roughly how long does it take to get all this stuff. But that's probably the one thing that I would say here is people always ask, hey, how long do you think this will take? And I think that being able to, the only way you will know is, again, rough estimates. And I know for you, it's a little bit tough because you don't really know how long it usually takes to do these things. So I guess like a tip is, if you don't know, maybe we can say something on here, time frame dependent on funding availability. Because you can ramp up very fast if you have funding, or you could take longer if you don't have funding. The slide is good. That's all that really, again, I want you to have the practice. The ask. Okay, cool. So obviously you were kind of shooting in the dark here, not really knowing exactly the number, but you got that number. I'm curious, like, was there any thought into how you got these, that it helped you build what I think is one of the core aspects of product management? So this is kind of me being kind of coached right here, right now. More and more, you're going to go through these conversations with people, and you're going to have to communicate, pitch. You're going to have to sell people on a vision. And this is how you do it. This is the PM. This is your tool, is your pitch. And again, I'm hopeful that you got this really good experience to now know this is how it's done. But I think overall, really great job. I'm looking forward to the next iteration.